Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for the complimentary ICMI webinar, The State of Mobile Customer Engagement, Tips to Help You Gain Success, sponsored by LogMeIn. I'm Erica Strother-Maroy, Community Specialist here at ICMI, and I'll be your moderator today. Before we begin, I just want to take care of a few housekeeping items. First, make sure you disable your pop-up blocker if it's currently turned on. You will notice that there are several icons at the bottom of your console window, and the first one allows you to see our presentation slides, so make sure that this one is maximized. Next, you'll see a Q&A icon. We'll be hosting some live audience Q&A at the end of this webinar today, and you can participate by asking questions at any time during the presentation. All you need to do is type your question into that window and click Submit. Now, if at any time you experience technical difficulties during our presentation, you can click the question mark icon on the console to access the event help guide. Clicking on the other icons will give you access to speaker bios, more information about our sponsor LogMeIn, as well as information about upcoming ICMI events, resources, and research. And I do want to let you know that this presentation will be made available for on-demand viewing following our live event today. You'll receive an email in the next couple of days with instructions for viewing the recorded presentation. You can also download a version of today's slides in PDF form shortly following the presentation. And as you're watching today, we really encourage you to be social. You can access your Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn accounts directly through the event console, so please keep the conversations going and share what you learn. Now it's my pleasure to introduce today's speakers. I'm joined by Justin Robbins, who is the Community Services Manager here at ICMI. I'm also joined by Ross Haskell. Ross is Senior Director of Bold Jack Products for LogMeIn. You can learn more about both of our speakers by clicking the speakers icon on the console. Now, as you can see, we've shared some hashtags and handles on your screen, so one final reminder, please be social and share what you learned in today's presentation. And with that, let's get going. Justin, take it away.
Great. Thank you, Erica, and thank you everyone who's tuning in today. So I need to start today as we're talking about mobile customer engagement. I need to tell you all a story about an experience I had just this week, as a matter of fact, just yesterday. I took a trip out to Colorado, and like many of you, I have found that companies I do a lot of business with, I tend to, if they have a mobile app that's on my phone, especially when it comes to travel and the hotels that I stay at. And what was interesting about this trip is Weather decided to have a few other alternative ideas as what my trip should look like. And so I found myself scrambling to book a hotel at the last minute. And so I'm sitting on an airplane in Detroit trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And I happen to open an app for one of my preferred hotels. And what was really interesting, and what I did without even thinking about it, I pulled up my app. I'm comparing some of the different hotels that I can stay at. I select my hotel, get off the plane, grab a shuttle, get to the hotel. I actually don't even have to interact with a person at this point. I'm able to, on my phone, check myself in, and so this is great. I arrive right on site. I check myself in on my phone, and in addition now, my phone can also be my room key. So again, haven't even had to interact with a human, and I'm sitting on my plane. I find my hotel. I arrive at my hotel. I check myself in, open my app. It tells me what my room number is going to be. I can go right up and allow myself into my room and get my work done. And what I realized as I'm sitting in my hotel, sitting there just kind of reflecting on how my day had changed and how at a moment's notice I had to make some decisions and figure out what was going to be right for me as a customer. I realized that our world has changed so much at such a rapid pace over the past few years. And it's so easy for us as customers, when organizations get it right, it's so easy for us to keep our experiences close to us, and we don't want to interact with a lot of things, and we don't want it to be confusing, and we don't want to have things be wrong or not work out for us. It's so easy for us to just connect and make things happen and have great experiences as customers. And for me, I was incredibly satisfied. I really enjoyed it, and it was just cool to sit back and think about how easy it's become for me to connect with the rest of the world. How easy it is for me to have an experience that right there, right away, and without any frustration, without any inconveniences, I can have the type of experience, the type of service that I want. And I think about what that might have meant a few years ago, and I actually think about even some companies today about how difficult it can be for me as a customer to have a great experience with them sometimes. And it kind of surprises me because, we hear that organizations are really focused on the customer experience. We hear that so many organizations are saying that customer satisfaction, customer experience, that's the number one thing that they want to accomplish. And yet sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. And what's really interesting and what got me thinking about as we were going into this webinar is that our world has become so much smaller, and we look how easy it is to connect to companies, to connect to other consumers, and how quickly we can have service. And so then I realized that our expectations today are not what they used to be a year ago, or not what they used to be 10 years ago, that our expectations today, by and large, are that we see these companies that are doing it right. We see these companies that can right away provide great experience. We start to ask the questions, why can't everyone do that, and why can't everyone do it the same way? And so what I want to share today, and what I'm excited about this webinar, is I want to talk about this experience and getting to our customers where they are, looking at this idea of mobile customer experience, and looking at this idea of what do our customers really want, and what are they really seeking when it comes to great experiences. I want to talk about what we at ICMI, we're seeing organizations do, and really excited to hear from LogMeIn and some of the things that they're seeing as well. But at the end of the day, how do we get to this place where our customers have this expectation that we're going to provide service wherever they are, whenever they need it, and whether it's sitting on a plane in the convenience of their home or halfway across the world from you? They want to know that they're able to connect with you in the time, the place, the channel that's convenient. And so what does that mean for organizations today? This probably isn't a surprise for anybody sitting on the webinar. You're probably thinking, Justin, yes, we know. We are hearing everyone is talking about we should probably have a mobile app, or everyone's talking about providing a multi-channel or an omni-channel experience. In fact, that multi-channel support, unlike what it might have been 5 or even 10 years ago, multi-channel support is incredibly commonplace. In fact, ICMI's research shows that over 92% of organizations are supporting more than one channel, or over 92% of contact centers we would consider providing multi-channel support. And most organizations are saying that, we actually think that what we have today is going to change, and we expect more channels. So much, in fact, that 75% of contact centers are expecting to increase the number of agents that they have supporting multiple channels, because we realize that our customers have this expectation that we're going to be able to provide immediate service to them. We know that our customers have the expectation that when they pull out their device, that they're able to connect with us, and it's going to be easy, and it's not going to be complicated, and they're going to get the type of service that they want, and we will have understood that. And so we know that multi-channel support is commonplace, and we're hearing that organizations are increasing the number of agents that are supporting these multiple channels. And what's really cool is in 2 specific areas, we're seeing an incredible amount of growth. And in just 1 year, we've seen close to 19% increase in the number of contact centers that are supporting mobile app. In fact, 45% of contact centers today are in some way supporting a mobile app for customer service. And another area that we've seen significant growth of 12.5% year over year is in web chat. And 46% today are supporting chat. And we see these 2 channels growing, and we see that customers are saying that this is what we want. We want the convenience that we have this device, and we want to connect to the organizations. And we're seeing that organizations are responding. In fact, in incredible rates of growth, organizations are responding and saying, we get it. You're a customer, and you have this need, and we're going to do what it takes to serve you. You are a customer. We know what you want. And so we think that everything then is moving in the right direction. It would seem as though we as organizational leaders, we've got this understanding. We know that our customers are expecting us to be anywhere in their channel preference at any time. And we as organizational leaders are seeing that self-service in particular and the advantages of mobile apps, we're seeing that the benefits are tremendous, and this is a great opportunity for us to serve our customers. And we're seeing the result of satisfaction of customers who interact with organizations via chat and how much more satisfied that when they have that option available, things could be. And so we think that things are moving in the right direction because we hear customers say that they would prefer to be chat, or we hear customers say that they would prefer to do it themselves. And we see organizations adding these technologies in order to provide those great experiences. But the reality is that even though we're growing, even though we're adding these technologies that our customers are asking for, that our customers would prefer, even though we as organizations are doing that and making tremendous progress in those channels, when we look at customer satisfaction and when we look at customer engagement over the past few years, it's actually going down. And to me, I have to step back and I have to think about this for a minute. I'm like, why? Why could this be that if we're saying we understand our customers more than ever, we understand that they want mobility, we understand that they want convenience, and so we're adding the technologies to do so, right? It seems that we're doing all the right things, but our customers are saying it's not good enough. And so why is that? And I get to interact with a lot of contact center leaders and a lot of customer service professionals. And this is something that I and ICMI have really been trying to figure out is if we're adding these channels, we're doing the right things, it would seem. Why aren't our customers more satisfied? At the very least, why aren't they sustaining their level of satisfaction as within the past? And the reality is that what we think and what we're defining is what our customers expect from these types of experiences and what our customers are really expecting and what our customers are really wanting and how they're defining these experiences aren't aligning. And it actually reminds me of a quote by Maya Angelou that I have on the screen. It's, remember, people will judge you by your actions, not your intentions. You may have a heart of gold, but so does a hard-boiled egg. And I think what our intention with doing this is our intention is we want to provide great customer experiences. We want it to be easier. We want it to be more immediate. We want it to be more convenient. And that's our intention. But where we're missing the market and where our actions aren't where they should be is we maybe are misdefining, maybe are out of alignment, maybe are confused on what our customers are truly seeking when it comes to these types of experiences. And maybe it's time to redefine what we're considering as mobile customer service, mobile engagement, developing our understanding of what our customers are expecting when they interact with us, perhaps via chat or our mobile app. And so the question really becomes then, it's not a matter of whether or not we should continue to do these. Absolutely, we're only going to see growth in customers wanting to interact with us on mobile apps. We're only going to see growth in customers who want to interact with us via chat. But the question that we've got to be asking ourselves today is, what do they truly want out of these channels? How are they truly defining these experiences? And ultimately, what are their expectations? And what is it going to take from us to deliver on them? And so there's a few things that we can do, but first and foremost, where we really need to stop and kind of refresh is asking ourselves, are we aiming for what our customers truly find important? And what scares me here a little bit is getting to do a lot of research and really getting to understand what ultimately is driving organizations and ultimately making us tick and ultimately informing our decisions. Is that what asks most of us as organizational leaders are saying that customer service, customer experience is a priority for us? And we're saying it's incredibly important. But then when we look at a few things as far as what we're actually acting towards and what our actions are showing, and it's more often than not coming down to costs. And what I find is that just about half of organizations are actually willing to sacrifice agent efficiency in order to increase customer satisfaction, what I find sometimes is that what we really focus on important is making sure that our costs are as low as possible, and we often lose sight on other things like customer satisfaction. We lose sight of other things like what do our customers really value and what are they looking for in these experiences. And so one of the ways that you can do this as an organization is to look at to get a voice of the customer program. And I know, in fact, that over 60% of contact centers today don't have a formal program for really finding out what their customers find important, really finding out what their customers value, what they're seeking. And so the first place we really start with of are we aiming for what our customers find important is how are we getting their feedback? How are we seeking insight on what they really value? And so as we step back, and whether or not you have a mobile app today, whether or not you're serving in chat today, maybe what we need to do is take a step back and if we're serving those channels, or even if we're not, looking at seeking the voice of the customer, looking at customer satisfaction surveys, looking at engagement feedback, and understanding what our customers are truly telling us. Because the challenge for so many of us is either we haven't gone into looking at that insight, or we're operating based off of assumption. And we're operating based off of the assumption that we know what's best for our customers. We know what they're seeking, but the reality is until we truly ask them, and until we dive deep to find out what's working and what isn't, we really don't know. And one thing we found through ICMI's research is that our customers absolutely do want the convenience of self-service options like a mobile app. And when they do have to contact a company, we find that customers from a variety of ages, a variety of backgrounds, a variety of experiences love the convenience of chat. But what we find is so many of them aren't satisfied with that level of experience because really that chat or that mobile app was set up by the organization because they thought it would improve cost somehow. And so they set it up to reduce cost and to improve efficiency, but losing sight of what did the customers truly want when they went to that channel, and what did their expectations truly look like. The other piece here then is really taking a step back and understanding when we're talking about our mobile app, or when we're talking about that mobile experience, or when we're talking about web chat, are we really setting things up? Are we really explaining? Are we really describing these experiences the same way that our customers would? Because what I often find, again, is that we as contact center leaders, and I am victim to this just as much as anyone else, is we so often think through the eyes of our organization. And we think through the terminologies, we think through the definitions, the speak that we would use internally to set our experiences. And again, we lose sight of how are our customers truly seeing our organization. What does that experience feel like from their eyes? And one of the best ways we can really level set on this is to do focus groups, or even to spend time and actually using these services ourselves, actually using our own mobile app, interacting through our chat through the eyes of our customers, and finding out what are these experiences really like. It amazed me. I was interacting with an organization just a few weeks ago, and they were talking about these challenges that they were getting with their customers. And one of the things I asked them, well, can you talk me through the experience? If I'm going to try to achieve this certain end result, if I'm trying to achieve that through your web app, what is the experience like? And the person couldn't tell me. And I said, well, okay, well, answer me this. If I get hung up in the web app, what is my opportunity? What is the availability for me to contact someone else? And they said, well, I don't know. And I said, well, do I have the opportunity to chat in with someone? Can I send an email? Can I make a phone call? And they didn't know. And I asked this question to a few people. It amazed me how many contact center leaders in particular didn't even know if they had a web app. If they had a web app, they didn't even know what options were for customers to contact them outside of it. They didn't actually even know what the experience was like to use the web app themselves. And so what's really challenging and what's really perplexing here is if we want to provide this great experience and if we're willing to bring these new channels into place, are we asking the questions about what are our customers really expecting? Are we really aligning ourselves with what they find important? Are we listening to their voice? But then last, are we looking to the experience with the same set of eyes as they are? And are we setting things up so that they're convenient for our customers? Are we setting things up so that they provide great customer experiences? Or are we setting them up so that we internally have created some extra measure of efficiency, or we've done something just because we know that there's growth in this channel and just because we think that this is what should be done? Right, the real challenge here is to align ourselves not just with adding the channel, but aligning ourselves with the true customer expectations in that channel. And then once we've done that, once we've asked the question of what do our customers truly find important, and we've spent some time understanding how they want to use it, how they would really define this experience, how they would really define mobile engagement with our organization, how they really define their expectations of great service, whether it be through phone, whether it be through web chat, whether it be through a mobile app or any other channel. Once we've done the homework on what they're really expecting and we've set the systems, we've set the technologies in place to deliver on it, right, the question is, are we willing to continue to listen? Are we willing to continue to evolve to meet their needs? Right, because what I'm finding today is that so many of us, we're implementing these technologies and we're saying we want a really great customer experience, but then we're finding a disconnect between what we thought our customers truly want and what they actually want. And what I'm really excited to hear and what I'm really excited to have shared with you is, I know that LogMeIn has done quite a bit of research to better understand what does effective mobile engagement really look like. They've done some research to kind of deeper understand how are customers defining this experience when it comes to mobile customer service, and what does good engagement when it comes to the mobile experience really look like. And so, having done this research at ICMI, seeing that there's disconnect and seeing that more organizations are bringing in these channels, but customers aren't satisfied with them, I'm really excited to invite Ross to the call so that he can share a bit of what they're saying is, as far as when it comes to effective mobile engagement, what does that really look like, and what are some best practices and tips that organizations can adopt themselves to ensure that they are aligning with their own customer expectations. Ross, welcome.
Thank you very much, Justin. Throughout the presentation so far, Justin has used the term mobile engagement a couple of times. And before I kind of get into all of our research around mobile engagement, I just thought I would define what that means, because I do think that the definition today is very different than the definition tomorrow. The definition today, I think, and maybe many of you out there would define it the same way, would go something like this. So mobile engagement is when customers use mobile devices to contact us in a whole variety of ways, and we do the best that we can do. It's a very reactive type of definition, and it's different than the way it should be. Mobile engagement is a practice, should be at least, an intention thing that companies do on purpose. We try and engage with customers when they're mobile. We know when they're mobile so that we can handle the interaction a bit differently. So we pay attention when the customer is mobile versus when they're not. Mobile engagement tomorrow, I think, looks more like that. It's an intention set of practices, people, and technology that companies do on purpose. And that's the reason that we did this research project. We did a report called Effective Mobile Engagement. It's available now. This is the second year in a row that we've done it. It's based on the results of a survey that we do with over 5,000 consumers on a worldwide basis. We did it in over 10 countries. So it's really the customer of our customers. We service contact centers and customer service centers like many of you work in or supervise or run who are on the call today. But the survey that we did is with your customers, really. And the reason we do it is because we want to surface findings around how do we do this better? How do we really engage with the mobile consumer and highly satisfy them? So I'll take you through just some of the findings from this research and we'll have some time for questions at the end. So the first finding is quite simply that there is growth in mobile engagement. Here you're looking at the 8 different scenarios of mobile engagement that we test. The first 5, as you're reading from left to right, are really support-oriented mobile engagement. So have you ever used your mobile device to contact a company for billing questions, or to ask a general question, or to seek support either for that device or something else? And the last 3 are really m-commerce kind of related shopping engagements, to do product research, to actually transact, and then to follow up on a transaction that's already occurred. And you can see from 2014 to 2015, there's growth in each and every one of these scenarios. And what I'm showing here, by the way, is only those folks who do this frequently or all the time, the top 2 answers. So this is data that simply can't be ignored. Anywhere between 25, a quarter of the population, and almost half the population are engaging either frequently or all the time with their mobile devices with companies across a wide range of reasons. So if you think, oh, we're a little bit behind in mobile, it's probably more likely that you're way behind. I think a lot of the times that I present this research, that's the takeaway many companies have is, wow, we're more behind than we thought. Mobile engagement is also happening across channels. So when I talk about using your mobile device to engage companies, almost everyone thinks, oh, they're using their phone to make phone calls. And that is true, and you can see that really there hasn't been a lot of change year over year in the usage of channels. But voice is there, and it's very good, very prominent for support-related engagements. But it's not the far and away winner. Email is still very popular. Live chat is very strong. Other channels like social media and texting are growing. Video chat was new this year. Nascent, not a lot of people are doing that, but we expect that to grow over time. So mobile engagement is growing, and mobile engagement is really a multi-channel affair. Another point about email. A lot of people say, oh, email's dying, email's dead, and just in this research year over year, and also in our engagement with our own customers. I was talking yesterday with a very prominent e-retailer. They don't have any storefronts. And email associated with conversions is actually increasing. So people actually transacting through email. Very interesting finding there. So if you're thinking, oh, email eventually will go away, our research and our anecdotal information from customers says that that's not true. Email's, we think, here to stay. So we then wanted to figure out, okay, well, what should we be paying attention to for mobile engagement? What makes engagements successful? And we asked this question in the research a couple of different times, and you can see the results here. So we asked specifically about live chat engagement. So we asked people to consider, imagine you're having a live chat engagement on your mobile device, or if you've had one before. How do you gauge the success of that session? What's the criteria, and in what order are things more important? And by the way, the answer you get here is different when you add the mobile factor versus not. So if you ask the exact same question about live chat, but you ask the person, oh, it's a live chat happening on a desktop or a laptop, the order in which this criteria is important is different. What does that tell you? That tells you exactly the way we started this presentation, which is that mobile is different. It changes what's going on in the consumer's mind. It's changing the context that they're in. So anyway, you as a contact center need to be thinking about and treating it differently as well. So from a chat standpoint, a mobile chat standpoint, what's important? Chatting with a real person. People generally don't like chatting with bots. The product and service knowledge of the agent. The speed of agent response and how brief the agent is. That's an important one. A lot of people use a lot of canned messaging in their live chat. Well, you should have mobile versions of that messaging. The other thing I'd like to say is this, is that for the most part, most of those around live chat are not statements of technology. They are statements around training. They are statements around making sure that agents actually know they're either speaking with or chatting with someone who is mobile, right? These are not technology statements. Sure, technology can help, speed of agent response, with assignment logic and reassignment logic, and whatever tool that you're choosing can help you there, with alerting, so forth and so on. But really, these are more operational statements than anything else. So thinking now in general about just support engagements, whether they be on the phone or email, but still mobile, we ask, what's the criteria for success there? And we learned some interesting things here. So now it's product and service knowledge rising to the top, the friendliness of the agent, the speed to reach an agent, and first interaction resolution. When people use their mobile devices to engage with you, they want the problem solved through the channel they chose and through the device they chose. So interesting findings there. And unfortunately, none of this is making all your jobs easier. It's making it harder, making it more complicated. But this is definitely not something for the future. It's happening now. So there's, I think, good news in this slide. What this basically shows is that year over year, how people rate their satisfaction across industries with mobile engagements is frankly not that good. So why is that good news? Well, those of you who are on the call are learning how to do it better. And so there's real opportunity for companies to embrace mobile engagement, embrace it as a discipline, understand that it's different, and to do it better. There is good news in this slide also, in that year over year there's been improvement across almost all the industries. So that's very good. But still you can see that if you're only able to have consumers who engage with you through their mobile devices in a top 2-box analysis, that's saying that that engagement was either satisfactory or very satisfactory. Only about 2/3 of the population saying that. That's not very good. This needs to be in the high 70s into the 80% points. And I think this talks to a lot about what Justin said, is that, despite the fact that we think we know what we're doing, the results are just not showing it. I would argue this is largely, especially from a mobile standpoint, is because we're treating it the same way we've treated everything else for years. And we can't do it that way. It's just different, and we need to treat it differently. And you can see across industries, it's the same. It's basically the same story. And why does this matter? Well, it matters because, and this is not research from our effective mobile engagement research. This is from an Ovum study that we sponsored, and this basically shows the scary statistic that 76% of consumers have stopped doing business with a company following a bad customer service experience. And so the reason I show this slide is because, based on the previous slide that we looked at, mobile is an area where companies are struggling to provide good customer experiences and good service. We believe it can be done well. We believe it can be done better. We believe that the first step to that is really understanding that mobile is different and treating it that way. And so some best practices around mobile. I've said it. I won't say it again. I will say it one more time. Treat it differently. Mobile changes what defines success for consumers. Understand that mobile isn't just phone calls, and we showed that here. There's wide channel usage on mobile devices, including email, texting, all kinds of different things. In chat, specifically, be faster and type less. So mobile customers have a greater sense of urgency. The reason they've decided to contact you on their mobile device is likely because that is the only device they have at their disposal. They are somewhere where that is the conduit to the world. Mobile, make sure that agents know they're chatting with someone who is mobile. It's especially important for chat agents so that they can type less text. Big paragraphs of text appearing on a chat interface on a mobile phone are very annoying. Consider routing mobile customers differently. So for phone calls and for chats, we have a capability that allows folks to do this with the Bold Chat product. You can have a mobile inbound chat have a higher importance than other types of chats. And you can also route them to specific locations. You might have a mobile team. I know that sounds funny, doesn't it? Oh, we're not going to have a mobile team. We'll just treat it the same way we treated everything else. So far, that hasn't been working very well. It's very possible that you'll have some people who are simply better at multitasking, are fast typers, things like that. Be friendly, yes, you saw that come up, but also knowledge was really key. A lot of people think, especially with chat or other text-based channels, that, oh, we'll put our new people on those channels because we want to keep our good people on the phones. and that is turns out to be a very poor decision. People utilize chat and other text-based channels specifically because they believe that they will get a very good, robust, knowledgeable response in writing. That's one of the reasons they use those channels, is they want it in writing. So solve the problem while the customer is mobile. I mentioned this, but the reason they contacted you when they're mobile is because they're actually trying to get something solved. Not because they want to call you later or move to a different channel or a different device. That is, they are using their mobile device to contact you, and they want the problem solved that way. So thank you for listening to my section, and now at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Erica for the Q&A section.
Great. Thank you, Ross, and thank you, Justin. I know you've given our audience certainly a lot to think about today, and I have seen some great questions coming in from our audience already. Before we get to the questions, though, you should have seen a link just pop up on your screen. It's just a quick 6-question survey. If you don't mind taking about 30 seconds to fill that out, give us some feedback on our presentation today. We would really appreciate that. And as I said, and as I promised at the beginning, we have saved some time for your audience questions. So before we jump into those right now, I just want to let you know that if for some reason we don't get the opportunity to answer your question here live, we'll make sure to answer any questions that are left in the queue offline. So with that, let's jump right in. I saw a really great question that just came in from one of our audience members, and that is, do you guys think that as new generations start entering the workforce, that customer service expectations change? And how can contact centers plan long-term business models around this changing workforce? So, Ross, why don't we start with you?
This is a great question, and I definitely agree that it's true. I just actually was visiting a customer last week, was inside their contact center, and one of the things we talked about was, I'm the person who tries to make our product better, and our product's been around for a while, so it's very deep, very robust, but this person's feedback for me was really interesting. It was, the people we're hiring are very young, they're used to things all being mobile, they're used to, they named a bunch of different things. This is the Spotify generation, and so, is there any way that we can kind of bring some of what they're used to into the product through gamification, other things? It was a very interesting conversation, and it really highlighted for me the challenge that contact centers have, and it also highlighted for me a frustration, which was, the people who are working in these contact centers, especially when you think about mobile, they are very mobile themselves. They use their mobile devices all the time to do everything, yet they work in an environment that doesn't treat the people who are inbounding to that environment, differently from a mobile standpoint. Yet they have the right skills to do it, right? The people sitting there taking those calls or taking those chats or taking those whatever, they themselves are the mobile users. They're more mobile than maybe some of the people they are servicing. Anyway, so the question around how do you plan for long-term around that workforce, I do think that one of the things we've learned from our customers is that as we enter this kind of multi-channel world, the skill sets that are required are somewhat different than they used to be. And so testing for that, modifying our recruiting and training regimens, I think is becoming increasingly important. We're seeing our customers do that. Many of our customers now give typing tests. They give tests around multitasking. And by the way, sometimes if someone is not necessarily good at those things, they might be a very good phone agent. And we think that those are pretty different skill sets. So anyway, I think, I hope I've answered the question a little bit. I'm curious for what Justin's feedback is as well.
Yeah, no, Ross, I definitely agree with you. I mean, I think, there's a couple things here. When it comes to customer service, there are a few, immutable principles that our customers are always going to expect. And to me, the question we have to be asking is, how do we continue to deliver those in light of what is changing? So customers expect us to get it right the first time. They always have, always will. To me, what is really changing, and I look at my own children, I have very young children, and to me what's going to be changing and that we can't anticipate is this sense of immediacy. Right. What do I mean there? Just perfect example. My kids have grown up with web-based television, right? We don't have cable. They're used to watching whatever show they want, whenever they want, without interruption. Just a week ago, we were at the beach, and they had to watch cable television, and they couldn't understand, why they couldn't just watch what show they wanted whenever they wanted, and why they had to sit through commercials, right? It didn't connect. And that is reflecting itself in our customers' expectation of services. As generations that have grown up as digital natives continue to enter in, to me, that's the biggest change, this expectation of immediacy. And not 30 minutes later, not an hour later, but right here, right now. To me, that's the biggest challenge that we face. And so how do we face that with a changing workforce? How do we plan for that? To me, it's putting in technologies. It's equipping our agents with the right tools, the right resources, the right level of empowerment, so that when that customer does contact them, right, because technology self-service, get that right for those types of immediate interactions. But when they actually have to talk to an agent, whatever channel it's going to be, to me, the biggest thing that we need to plan for is a greater sense of empowerment, really have the right tools, the knowledge, the resources there at fingertips, so that when a customer reaches that individual in the contact center, without question, without delay, without having to go to a supervisor, they can get the information right there, right now. To me, that's the biggest thing that I would focus on looking, kind of forward from today.
Certainly changing quickly. So thank you both for your help on that question. Lots of good questions coming in, and I really like this one. So Ross, I'll pose this question to you. How do you ensure personality comes through in mobile chat? We know that part of satisfaction lies in getting that personal touch with the customer. So how can that be achieved through mobile chat?
This is a great question. I believe that there's a couple ways, actually. So one, empowering your agents to, if you use canned messaging, that's fine, but empower your agents to modify it. So some chat systems don't allow you to do that. When you select a canned message, it automatically sends through. Making sure that that agents can modify canned messages before they send them through to add their own personality. I also think that the greeting is another way. So many chat greetings are very standard. Hi, how may I help you today? We have a couple of customers who really modify it. Now, one of them, they're in the sports industry, and so depending on what page the chatter is on, they might actually say, did you catch the game last night? And so I think that there are different greetings that can be utilized in order to sort of break the ice. I also think that generally I would say that emoticons in chat are against the rules. We don't use them very frequently, but in mobile, they're almost expected. Everyone texts emoticons, all smiley faces and sad faces and so forth. There's even entire libraries of them you can download for Android or whatever, and it's probably okay in mobile. Certainly on a desktop we would advise against it, but it's probably all right in mobile. And I agree, by the way, that you should definitely try to do this, and there's two reasons. One has to do with something we talked about earlier, which is that people have a desire to speak to real people, and often if your responses are very canned, and if they're very canned and very fast one after the other, the person might actually not believe that you are a real person. And so establishing rapport, sharing personal information about, where you're from, where you're working from, things like that can help. And the other reason is, of course, we simply know that, friendliness and courteousness impacts overall satisfaction rating. So I hope I answered that. A couple of suggestions around how to do that.
Yeah, great advice. So thank you, Ross, and thank you for that question. So many good questions coming in today, so we appreciate your participation and enthusiasm, and keep the questions coming. Next question, and this one again is for you, Ross. And this is a good question because I know I'm guilty of often just picturing mobile customer support as being geared towards the smartphone. But Rebecca says, do you have any mobile strategies you could recommend for populations who don't use smartphones? So, those that just have text and voice capability but no data.
Yeah, so a couple of pieces of advice there. First of all, for phone calls, one of the first things, and this may have happened to you, right? So a good signal that companies understand that mobile is different is if you've ever been asked, are you on a mobile phone? And if your answer was yes, and they take the number, so in case you get disconnected, they'll call you back. There's no reason to ask that for people on landline phones because the chance of being disconnected is so de minimis with a landline. But with mobile phones, there's a real possibility. So that's one key thing that folks can do if they're receiving voice calls at all, is to just find out what kind of phone you're using. And if mobile, make a note of it so that you can contact the person back. The other, from a tech standpoint, is that I would say offer tech support. This is a little bit more popular in other countries. We don't think about this here as much in the U.S., but in Europe and in Latin America, companies receive text messages in a support environment very frequently. And you saw some of that in the research here. We enable this in BullChat. Other providers do it as well, so that agents who are trained in keyboard communication, right? So they're chatting through a web browser or whatever. They also can handle text messages inbound. And actually, it's really good to combine those because the expectation that consumers have of response rates is very different for each of these keyboard mechanisms we've talked about. So for chat, it's almost immediate. They want immediate response. For texting, you've got several minutes, right? If I text my wife or my mom, I don't expect an immediate text response. A couple minutes can go by, and that's totally fine. Even 10 minutes can go by. That's okay. Email, hours can go by before I respond to that. So combining multiple text-based channels together is great for agents and great for efficiency across the company. So anyway, I hope I've answered a couple of things to do with those customers with those types of phones.
Yeah, I think that's great. So another question that I love, I know probably all of us use video all the time now for kind of figure-it-out type lessons. I know I used video the other day on YouTube to figure out how to fix my dryer. And one of our attendees just said that with so many people using video searches online when they need to learn how to do something, what do you guys think about providing video instructions to help deflect call volume?
I'm curious about Justin's opinion on this because I know he talks to lots of contact centers like I do in a different way. So one of the things that's interesting is that we have some customers who are starting to put they use video links in their canned messaging in chat, so that when someone has a question, rather than send them to a page to read a bunch of things, they send them to video content, which is very interesting because it increases the average handle time for that chat pretty significantly, but it also is showing to increase the resolution rates as well. So I definitely think that's not a deflection strategy, but it is a kind of single chat resolution strategy that some customers are using.
So here's what I can say to this one. We actually have done quite a bit of research to understand what types of channels are most popular for what types of interactions. And when it comes to technical support in particular, video is actually number one. Video is the top channel right now used by technical support-based contact centers to help answer customer questions. I mean, that's probably Josh who sent the question. I mean, that's I know I do that when I go and look online and how do I do this? What's the instructional video? So it's actually incredibly effective. I look at even some different kind of video-based apps today that organizations are using. Sometimes it's more from a marketing perspective as well, but I think absolutely if you have a captive audience and the message can come across on video, definitely a good option to deflect contacts, but also kind of it can be a way to add extra value to the experience as well. Say you work for say you manufacture kitchen appliances, right? Could be really cool. Somebody calls in or texts in, whatever, because they have a question about their new appliance. Be really kind of a neat thing that your organization needs to do on the back end is to say, hey, so here's a video, a series of other videos that can kind of enhance that experience and maybe circumvent you having to contact us in the future as well. So I mean, I'm pro video all the way and have seen a lot of organizations have some tremendous success with it.
Great. Thank you both, and thank you, Josh, for that excellent question. Roz, I have another question for you that just came in. Do you have any recommendation on the hours of operation when it comes to chat services?
Yes. I can answer this question based on a different research project that we did a couple of years ago called Live Chat Effectiveness. So when you ask consumers what they want, they all pretty much want 24 hours. But it's actually not necessary. What we know is that making sure that you offer chat into some hours beyond the normal workday is very important. So if chat is open 9 to 5, that is way less satisfactory than it being open 8 to 6, right? You've got that kind of hour on each end where folks who are either leaving work or arriving at work are able to get something done that they need to get done. The other thing that is an absolute must is you've got to have some weekend hours. You don't have to have all-day weekend hours, but you have to have some. In the consumer's mind, 24/7 is best. What I can tell you is that it's not required as long as you have some chat hours staffed on either side of your workday and also some weekend hours as well.
Thanks, Ross. So here's a question around metrics. Would love to know what trends you're seeing around average handle time for mobile and chat interactions. Are they higher or lower or about the same as traditional telephone calls for the same type of interaction?
Well, let's see. So handle time for chat, let me do what I think is more apples to apples, which is desktop chat versus mobile chat. Okay, so first of all, chat in general has longer handle times than phone calls do. Why is that? Just typing takes longer, A. B, that while there is an immediacy to chat, it is not required, and so often someone will go, hang on, my kid is crying, and then they leave the chat for several minutes before coming back. That's one of the reasons people like it and choose it, is because it provides them that flexibility. So average handle times in general for chat tend to be longer than phone calls. Now, the reason that that's okay is because you can take more than one chat at a time. So if you're taking 3 chats at the same time, even if their average handle time ends up being longer on a per chat basis than phone, it doesn't matter. You're still more efficient than that one phone call you're able to take. Okay, so now are mobile chats any different from an average chat time versus desktop? And we have looked at this in some of our benchmarking, and it is a little shorter. It's really not that much, but it is a little bit shorter. And I can't remember the numbers or the percentages, but I want to say it's 10 to 15% shorter. And this is owing to the fact that what I said before I think is a little less likely to happen on those devices. So hang on, kid is crying, a little less likely because the person who is on the mobile device, they may not be home. They may, they are, by nature of using that device, trying to solve a problem as quickly as they possibly can, so they're pretty attentive to that chat. And so as long as the agent is also being responsive, which is just a good best practice no matter where the chat's coming from, the average chat time, total chat time for mobile chats tends to be a little shorter.
Okay. Do you have any insight around first contact resolution in mobile and chat as compared to traditional phones?
Yeah, it's terrible. We want it's like half the rate or something like that. So I think, and the reason is I believe simply because of the things we've talked about. Lots of contact centers don't treat mobile differently. They don't know that they're on a mobile, so they put way too much text in. It frustrates customers that leave. They include links to non-mobile optimized pages. The customer can't read it. So there's a lot of there's a long way to go to improve resolution rates for mobile chat.
Definitely. So I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions. One more for you, Ross. Can you briefly explain some of the mobile engagement capabilities that Bold Chat specifically provides?
I sure can, and thank you for whoever asked that question. That was nice of you. So Bold Chat provides many very good, I would say, industry-leading mobile solutions. particular to chat. So we have specialized proactive invitations for mobile. So a lot of proactive invites appear very poorly on mobile devices, and ours don't. They're optimized for mobile devices. We have a layered chat experience so that you don't leave the website when you chat. A lot of this happens very frequently with a lot of live chat products out there. You click the chat button from a mobile device, and all of a sudden a new browser tab opens. Ours does not work that way. It overlays the website that you're on. You can minimize it with a swipe. It stays as a little icon badge so you can continue browsing. It's a very good customer experience. We also have the capability to do reporting separately on mobile. So how many mobile chats am I getting versus regular chats? We can route them differently and prioritize them differently, as I mentioned earlier. We also, if you have an app, we have the capability for you to embed Bold Chat inside of your app so that you can, agents can continue to take chats from websites and also in-app chats as well.
Great. Thank you, Ross. And I think that might be a good place to stop for today because we are running low on time. I want to thank you all again for attending today, for being so engaged, and for all of your participation. I also want to thank you, Ross, and you, Justin, for the presentation today. And before we go, I have just a couple of reminders for you guys. First of all, don't forget that you can download the slides directly through the console in PDF form immediately following this presentation. I'd also like to remind you that you will be receiving instructions in the next couple of days to view the on-demand version of this presentation. And once again, I do want to let you know that if we didn't get the opportunity to answer your question live today, we're going to be sure to answer all questions that were left in the queue offline. And you should be seeing a link now. We encourage you to head over to ICMI.com. Check out some of our latest research as well as some upcoming events that we have planned. Before we go, I do need to mention that our presentation is copyright 2015 by ICMI. The presentation materials are owned by or copyrighted by ICMI, which is solely responsible for its content, and LogMeIn is responsible for their content and opinions. On behalf of ICMI, our speakers, and our sponsor, LogMeIn, we thank you for attending today. Have a great afternoon.